Hello and welcome back to another FPL captaincy video. Today we're going to take a look at the blank game week 29 captaincy options. Of course, big hitters such as Salah and Isak are not playing this week, so it's going to be a very interesting week for picking up our captaincy. Last week we went back to Mohamed Salah after having a big failure in Cole Palmer in game week 27, and Salah once again rewarded us with a nice golden week with a 30-point haul. Again, Salah has basically been the perma captain since about game week 17 on here, and he's absolutely flying, so absolutely nothing wrong with that. We've got 4 more picks for this week. Let's jump straight into it. So the 4 players that I have chosen is going to be 4 penalty takers from teams obviously that play this week. We've got Justin Kluivert from Bournemouth, Bruno Fernandes from Man United, Chris Wood and Erling Haaland, all 4 really nice picks and popular picks as well. I didn't want to go too rogue with them. I think a lot of people, for example, may bring in someone like Evanilson or Semenyo instead of Justin Kluivert, but due to the fact that he is on penalties, I have decided to go for Kluivert because we do like to pick penalty takers for our captains. Predicted points are looking pretty low this week. In the last couple of weeks we've been spoiled by Mohamed Salah and Cole Palmer having up towards 10, 9 predicted points, but this week it is a little bit lower, a little bit back to standard how it was at the beginning of the season, and Erling Haaland is the one on the top for both of our websites, Fantasy Football Hub and FPL Team. Haaland is a fair chunk above mostly for Fantasy Football Hub, about 2 extra predicted points than Chris Wood, Bruno Fernandes and Justin Kluivert. FPL Team has him about the same, about 1.5 higher than the rest. Chris Wood is looking pretty low compared to what I expected him to be. I thought with the Ipswich fixture he would have been a little bit higher, at least on par or just a little bit below Erling Haaland, but really when it comes to Wood, Fernandes and Kluivert, all 3 are looking pretty similar when it comes to predicted points. All 4 of our picks essentially as well are sure to play 90 minutes. Our lowest X minutes this week is going to be Justin Kluivert with 84, which is still absolutely plenty to get a haul in there if you wanted. For XG, we've obviously got Erling Haaland, who is going to be at the top. He is only beaten by Mohamed Salah so far this season, and he is basically matching his XG as well this season with 20 goals from 19.8. Everyone else, the likes of Chris Wood and Justin Kluivert are overperforming their XG. Of course, Chris Wood has been well known this season for being an overperforming XG player with almost double his XG with 18 goals from 10.6. When it comes to expected assists, all looking fairly low. Surprised to see Justin Kluivert so low considering he is a midfielder / winger, but Chris Wood and Erling Haaland obviously just above 1 expected assist so far, and it's Bruno Fernandes with 5.3. When it comes to the return chances, Erling Haaland is once again at the top with a 68% chance of returning this week. Our other 3 players, similar to the predicted points, are looking pretty similar with 45, 46 and 47%. Odds-wise, it is also Erling Haaland that is dominating this table. He has a 49% chance of scoring against Brighton this week with a 20% chance of scoring 2 or more. Chris Wood isn't too far behind. He's got a 42% chance of scoring, so it's not that bad. When it comes to Kluivert and Bruno Fernandes, they are a little bit on the lower side of things. However, Kluivert is matching Brighton with Brentford's clean sheet chances. They do have the best chance of scoring goals, which is going to be obviously useful for anyone who's got Bournemouth attackers, but they're also the same as Man City. Brighton and Brentford both have the same clean sheet odds this week. As we mentioned already, we have 4 penalty takers in this list. Haaland, Wood, Bruno and Kluivert all taking penalties, and the only one with an advantage here with the additional set pieces is going to be Bruno Fernandes. He has the free kicks and the corners as well, which is obviously going to be useful when it comes to picking up assists or goals in Bruno Fernandes' case after picking up a free kick goal against Arsenal last weekend, which was absolutely ideal because he's been on fire recently and he is still a really nice pick. Even if you're not thinking about him as a captaincy based on what you've seen so far, he is looking really, really nice as just a player to have with a nice fixture against Leicester this week. As far as rest goes, we are getting quite deep into European competitions, which means someone like Erling Haaland isn't playing any more Champions League football after being eliminated. So that is obviously useful when it comes to FPL captaincy. The only player we have from our list so far that is still playing in Europe is Bruno Fernandes. So it is a little bit of a hindrance there. He's obviously playing against Real Sociedad tonight, and he's only going to have 2 days of rest before playing against Leicester. So that is definitely something to consider. Again, a lot of us are going to have Haaland, a lot of us aren't going to have Haaland. So if you're going into this week without Haaland as your captaincy, you're obviously looking between Chris Wood, Bruno and Kluivert. So far, the stats have been very tight between all three of them, and these are the kind of things that you do have to consider. So is the fact that Bruno has played a couple of days before his match against Leicester going to be a big factor in your captaincy? It could be between Chris Wood and Kluivert this week. Now, when it comes to the opponent's defences, with Erling Haaland, he is coming up against the best defence of our 4 players, and he's coming up against Brighton, who are the 10th worst / 10th best for defences. They have 38.1 expected goals conceded, and they've conceded 40 throughout the course of the season. Now, Chris Wood is actually coming up against the worst defence, which is going to be Ipswich. They are second, but again, closely followed by Bruno Fernandes, coming up against Leicester, who is the 3rd worst defence of the league so far. And Leicester have actually conceded more goals than Ipswich, despite the XGC difference. And also, when you're considering central chances conceded, Leicester have conceded more chances down the middle. Obviously, Wood and Bruno are both central operating players, so while Ipswich have the higher expected goals conceded, Leicester have conceded more goals and more chances down the middle, which is going to be ideal for Bruno Fernandes. Now, for Kluivert, they're playing, kind of in the middle grounds. Brentford are 8th for expected goals conceded and have 42.8, but they've only conceded 44 goals as well, so they're kind of on a similar wavelength to Brighton when it comes to goals conceded and expected goals conceded as well. So realistically, if you were going to compare with the chances, Haaland obviously looks like a much better option than Kluivert due to all the stats that we have looked at already, and the chances and defences don't really put Kluivert above Haaland in that aspect. Obviously, Bruno and Wood are going to be your main 2 focuses outside of Erling Haaland for this one. So with all that being said, I do think Erling Haaland is going to be the best captaincy option this week. Again, if it was my opinion, I think it is a very good week to go against, the grain and go for a big differential captaincy. But obviously we are taking a look at stats and everything, and they are heavily backing Erling Haaland this week. So highest expected points on both Fantasy Football Hub and FPL Team is obviously backing Haaland. Haaland also has the highest return chance by about 20% on the other 3 as well, which obviously does make him a lot better. Has the highest goal odds. He is 7% ahead of Chris Wood in second. He's also got that home fixture, and he's also got that full week's rest. So Erling Haaland is going to be the one we are backing this week. But if you do not own Haaland, like myself, and you aren't going to be able to afford him this week, this is who I would go for if you do not own him. Now, before I made this video, before I made any of the graphics, my captaincy was going on Chris Wood, but looking at basically everything that we've seen so far in this video, it looks like Bruno Fernandes could be the one to go for. The only downside I'm seeing with him is the fact that obviously he is the only one playing in Europe this week, so he is only getting 2 matches. But Bruno Fernandes is one of those 90-minute players no matter what happens kind of thing. He's got the highest expected points on both sides. Obviously all of these are excluding Haaland. We're pretending Haaland doesn't exist here. Against Chris Wood and Kluivert, Bruno Fernandes has the highest expected points. Again, mind you, very little, it's very close with them. The same with the higher return chance. Bruno is 1% higher than Chris Wood. He has the free kicks and he has the corners, which is obviously going to be a big advantage, as we saw against Arsenal. And Leicester are only behind Southampton and Brentford for central chances conceded, so that is a big part of it as well, with Leicester looking like, on paper, not the worst defence, but realistically when you look into the actual chances and stuff like that and more goals conceded, Leicester are looking a lot worse than Ipswich are. And of course the great form that Bruno Fernandes has been hitting in recent weeks, picking up a 10-10 and a 9-pointer in the last 3, is making him my choice for captaincy this week. So I'm personally not going to be owning Haaland for this week, which means my captaincy is going to be on Bruno Fernandes. Let me know if you agree down in the comments section. one, are you going for Haaland? And two, are you going to go for Bruno Fernandes if you don't have the Manchester City striker? So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next one.